Okay, now we're going to move on to the ISPs. The first of these is our local ILEC, and that'll be Jeremy Chorney, pardon me, Jeremy Chorney from Telus. I didn't get an intro for you, Jeremy, so you're just going to have to introduce yourself.
I was sitting there thinking to myself, I wonder if it's appropriate to borrow the line from the Austin Powers movie, allow myself to introduce myself. But my name is Jeremy Chorney, and I come from a political science background. I had a 10-year career at the Alberta legislature, and I currently work for Telus in the role of Director of Government Relations. And at first blush, you might think, why would Telus send their government relations representative to represent the company at a forum like this, and not someone with a more technical background? And I think the answer really is that, as some other speakers have suggested, we're really not talking about technological limitations to the issue of bringing high-speed broadband to rural Alberta, rather one that's based in public policy. And the reason why I say that is, it's obvious that technology exists today to bridge that gap and could be achieved through different paths. But in reality, we face a problem, one of economics, where the private sector has no encouragement to go into these unserved areas due to lack of return on investment. And so what we have is a vision that was birthed before the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, that has borne unto itself the SuperNet and some shortcomings after that fact. And so we've always been passionate about rural connectivity at Telus. We've been supportive of the SuperNet. In fact, some of the SuperNet rides on fiber that was purchased from Telus. So we've been at the table as a partner whenever it's made sense and whenever practical. So we're left with this model that's got a flaw to it, and how do we bridge that gap is where we're all at today. And I see a lot of familiar faces from the Calgary Van Horn Institute version of this meeting, and I think the one thing that really hasn't changed is how can public policy play the spearhead role in solving this issue of rural connectivity. It's gratifying to see a representative from the AMDNC here today and from the province, and if there is someone from the federal government here, thanks for coming. We believe that there are solutions out there that are going to require government's support in bringing robust solutions to rural Albertans. And Telus has played a peripheral role in that respect. And the reason why I say peripheral is because we've never been engaged in a formal way with any order of government in terms of delivering this type of access where it doesn't exist today. And I can assure you that we have gone out to many communities that are small in nature, where there is economic return, and we have a responsibility to our shareholders to maximize our resources. It's just a simple business model that everyone lives within, including smaller ISPs. So we haven't been sitting around and waiting for things to happen, though. As recently as the Advanced Wireless Spectrum auction is concerned, our Executive Vice President of Corporate Affairs was publicly engaging the federal government in particular to make some of those windfall monies available for rural broadband build-outs. Some of you may recall that Wall Street was contemplating slightly over $1 billion in revenue as a result of that spectrum auction. It wound up being in excess of $4 billion. And our call to the federal government was to reinvest those dollars into rural broadband connectivity rather than having it go to some general revenue pot of money or some such other public project. So that's certainly one good example of Telus leadership in engaging the public sector in responding to the needs of rural Albertans. We have had occasion to have some informal conversations with government of Alberta, and I'm sure at a lower level with different counties and municipalities. And so what we've found is, there's general agreement amongst everyone that, it is an issue. There is certainly a lot of benefits to bringing rural connectivity to small communities. Telus sees this more as simple consumerism. There's obvious advantages with healthcare, education, and general quality of life improvements. So it's more than just being able to get your email in a timely fashion. We see huge impacts in rural healthcare, for example, bridging data systems with rural physician offices, and having video streaming for surgeries where specialty skills are required, and we would be able to bridge that gap by not having the specialist travel, but rather have them observe and contribute their skills over the internet. So it's a difficult conundrum for governments because it's an expensive one, and I think all of us at this conference see the upside in continuing to point out that this is an important area in public policy development, and that public sector involvement is not only required but really essential to having a robust solution that is evolutionary in nature and not an event or even perhaps backward looking as perhaps a temporary bridge or a small fix. I think the objective here is to have everyone benefit from bringing broadband out to the communities rather than just small pockets here and there where some technologies might reach but others will not. I don't think that would be acceptable to Albertans. The solution has to be all-inclusive, and it has to be one where the technology can continue to advance just like it would in major centers where there is good business cases to go forward. And that, I think, is the bottom line from our perspective. So we continue to keep the door open to partners of all types, public and private. In fact, Telus in its organizational structure has partner solutions, which is there solely to do business with other ISPs. And a company of over 8,000 people with a capital expenditure this year of in excess of $500 million, and a company that gave over $8 million to its local community initiatives last year. We're here to stay. We're here to be your partner, and we look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. We really appreciate that.